Black Cat Lounge is sponsored by Beacon, a home for those who have a passion for filmmaking and the unusual. The Haunted Hinsdale House. Those who walk there do not walk alone. Paraware, apparel for the action-seeking paranormal investigator. Dragonfly art and soul for all of your magical, metaphysical, and spiritual needs. Mystery Control, your go-to feed for science, magic, true crime, the paranormal, and so much more. Para-Niagara, one of the top rated destinations in Western New York. The Black Cat Lounge is part of the Paraflix Entertainment Network. Everybody, Tim Shaw here, and I'm so glad that you're here. Tuesday nights, it's the coolest place in town. What can I tell you? Pretty soon, the snow will start flying, even though it was hot today. It was hot here in Western New York, and I hate to say it, but, I'm ready. I am just so ready for the cooler weather to hit us, and the fall has always been my favorite time of year, so we've been having we had some cool, colder weather, but it was hot today for me. I think it was like 80 or something like that. And that's hot for me. That's enough. I like staying down in the office, and I don't venture out too far. Hey, I got to tell you, I had a great time Saturday. I was up at Concordia Cemetery, and it was funny because I walk on there, and I had come back from Ohio. I just got back from Ohio, and I said, I'm going to go and see what's going on, and I know that they had a really cool talk going on. They were talking about secret societies. So, and I love going there for their talks because why? All the chairs are between the graves. They're all between the tombstones. I absolutely love that. I think it's the greatest thing in the world. Well, they asked me to do sort of like the overview, which is the beginning of it, like an intro into it. And I had a ball. I absolutely loved it. And you know what? It was just so much fun. So that was great to do. And I've been working on some different projects, so we'll see what happens. And this weekend, guys, I'll be at the Sage Conference in Virginia at the Belgrove Plantation. It's going to be phenomenal. And Rhonda, was I at the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft? No, I actually wasn't. I didn't make it all the way to. I didn't get all the way to Cleveland. I had a couple other stops that I had to do in between there. So, and I can't really tell you what the stops are because we may be filming at a couple of these places. Listen, we've got a great guest today. I love this guy. This guy is so freaking awesome, and I'm going to tell you why. Because he's like he's a mad scientist. I got to show you. I don't know if I showed you guys live or not, but I got to pull over my chair. This is the spirit box that this guy made me. Is this not freaking cool? Let me turn it on here. Look at this. This is cool. Now, I haven't gotten a chance to put this and take this on the road with me yet, but I've been working with it in the basement. And the more that you work with these things, the more that they they'll work out. But is this cool? Our guest made this for me. This guy put this thing together. He went and I said, I want a piece of your gear, something that you put together. I think when somebody makes something for me, I think that it's so personable, and I love it. I absolutely treasure this stuff. Patrick Murphy's in there, buddy. Patrick Murphy made me a bunch of rating planchettes, so he knows what I'm talking about. But is this cool? This is so cool. And isn't it great? Look at the way that thing lights up. It's great. And I've been working with it, and it's funny because I just told them off the air that I've been getting, if when I slow it down and it freezes, it'll stay on, it'll kind of hang on a frequency on a station. I get the Catholic station. I get the Catholic station. It's so appropriate. I'll be going, hey, Jesus, you want to talk to me? Jesus, you want to talk to me? And I'll hear, and they give you laughing at me, you know. Oh, speaking about that, hey, I'm looking around. I see that all of us have survived the rapture. Today was the rapture. And it's so funny. Just to let you guys know, the rapture wasn't really around till the 1830s, and it actually started in New York State with a farmer by the name of Miller, and they went and he interpreted the Bible. And the first time he interpreted the Bible for the Great Ascension, it happened, and it was a great disappointment, they called it, because nothing happened. So he reinterpreted it, and he went all over the place, and he was forever going and preaching, and he was really like a rock star of his day. And in Rochester, New York, there's a mount. It's like a hill. It's called Mount Cobb, and the second ascension was going to happen there. So he goes and everybody, people went and they would sell their homes, sell their goods, sell their livestock, leave stuff away. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And they were there. Many of them had white ascension robes on. And they were there ready to go, and nothing happened. So just to let you guys know, we're all safe from from getting like sucked up there. You know what I mean? The rapture did not happen, and we're doing good. We're all doing good. So anyway, enough about me. I got to bring on my guest today. My guest is phenomenal. I call him a mad scientist because he is. I love talking with him because every time I talk with him, I sit there and I think to myself, oh my God, this all makes sense to me. He's one of those guys that he conceptualizes things. And to me, being a dyslexic guy, that's how I do things. That's the only way that I can do things, is to conceptualize. And I've always been so impressed by him. Anyway, my guest tonight is someone who I'm thrilled to have back on the show. Last time we delved into more of the paranormal subjects, but today we're going to do something a little bit different. Something that I knew about many years ago, and the Dowsers were really big into it. But there's so much out there. There's so much new stuff out there that we have never gotten a chance to go and explore. So today we're going to explore a little bit. It's amazing. Today's topic is going to be theoretical. It's going to be almost, I'm going to say, metaphysical in its approach to investigations and healings and sort of things like that. He's a member of the Underground Paranormal Network, IDC Institute, which delves into the very essence of reality. It combines both science and metaphysics. I love this. I absolutely love this. That's why I get so excited about it. And, he's like, he will go and he will try to bring both of them together. And and sometimes it for me, I can understand it. And other times it's like, I need somebody else to really work with it. But basically, we talk about healing. We talk about so much that we take for granted already, yet we could go and do it better. We could do things better. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, please welcome a good friend, somebody who I go and it just impresses the hell out of me, the one and only Austin Maynard. Austin, buddy, how are you? You know what? I'm just going to tell you what. You're effervescent. You're iridescent. Thank you for coming on today, buddy.
No, man, I appreciate you having me on. That's a hell of an introduction. And I don't deserve that.
I remember you wrote to me and said, I'm going to make you a kick-ass box. I'm going to make you the just total kick-ass. And I'm going, well, it's cool. And he sent me a photo of just the housing. And I'm going, wow, that is really cool. It's got, because I love this. To me, the repurposing of something like this is so important. When I got this in, I had this thing going for about an hour straight in my workroom, and it's like it was just like all of a sudden it's like spitting like words out at me, and you know, and you gotta kind of fine tune it. But it's I'll tell you what, it's almost there, but it is great. Now everybody, look at this. This is the crazy dude that made this. It is great. I love it. You know, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to put that together.
Oh man, I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity. Really though, I mean, I think it could be better, but I mean, as long as it works for you, man, that's like the only thing that really, at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters to me. It's the only like it has, as long as it produces for you, and like you were saying earlier, like the more you work with it, the stronger the connection that you're gonna have with the box, and
Exactly.
so it'll just get better and better over time.
It's like the old mediums. Like the old mediums used to say, if you're going to use your tools, the seance tools, the trumpet, the slates, or even like instead of slates, we use etch a sketches now. You know, little things like that. But
Funny story, but
yeah, go
sorry.
ahead, go ahead.
Funny
Yeah,
story. Etch-a-sketches were invented in my town of Bryan, Ohio. Made at the Ohio Art Company, right here in high school.
I remember when I was in Bryan when we were filming,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember seeing the sign there.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. See,
Yeah.
look at this, Austin. Not pretty soon. What's going to happen is home of the Etch a Sketch and
Mhm.
Austin Maynard. That's the way it's going to work, buddy.
Well, I gotta overtake Dum Dum Suckers first, I think. 'Cause those are
That's
also made in Bryan.
that's right. That's right. Oh
Mhm.
my God.
Yep.
Hey,
Spangler Candy Company and Ohio Art.
I
Yep.
love it. I absolutely love it. But I mean,
Sorry. Go ahead.
the more you work with your tools, that's why I
Mhm.
keep telling people, you know, it doesn't matter what you get. You know, it's even like recorders and stuff. They're always like, dude, I got this, you know, $300 recorder, and I'm not getting anything. And I'm like, hey, why don't you go out on eBay and buy one for $14 and then just put it underneath your pillow and let it
Mhm.
sit there. And
Yep.
what you do is you acclimate to it and
Mhm.
you become the area. And we talked about that last time. That's what's so
Yep.
cool. But now tonight we talked. This is a topic again. This is a topic that when I used to belong to the Genesee Valley Dowsing Society many years ago, when it was still viable and was still going, they talked about radionics. It was big. It was big then. And it was amazing that we said, "Oh, well, you know what? Let's go and let's use this as a topic one day because people don't know what it is." And then again, I was at the Buckland Witchcraft Museum, and
Mhm.
they got a cabinet full of all sorts of of meters and boxes and stuff. And it was like, you got to be kidding me. So it was like synchronicity. And then I looked at my calendar and went, Austin's coming on. So for everybody that really doesn't know what radionics are, what it is, give everybody a just a like a little primer into it.
Well, radionics, kind of a base definition, is more or less using it's healing at a distance using subtle wave manipulation, subtle energy wave manipulation. And that usually involves what they call a witness, which is usually like a sample of
Hmm.
blood or
Hmm.
hair, saliva in some cases. And then you can you put that into the chamber for the witness, and you can actually tune in the radionics machine and find out what the frequency of that person is. And that person's frequency will match, it'll
Yeah,
resonate whatever the hair or the blood is,
right.
and then you can actually kind of determine different ailments and things that are specific areas of your body that need to be addressed. Like, it's not supposed to be used as a replacement for true medical care, but it can definitely be used to maybe narrow down some things, or back in initially, they would even, you could test and see if certain supplements or vitamins or whatever. I've seen somebody do something where they would actually like test vitamins against that
Right.
person and to see if it'll work for them, and it'll show like it will improve their bone health or their liver health, whatever. Like, they can determine all of that, and a lot of times they use these big boxes with 24 knobs. sometimes if you really want to get into fine tuning it. But for the nowadays, like modern ones actually have what they call orgon generators. And I mean, that gets into a whole nother. I don't really see a whole lot of like the actual healing devices anymore.
Right.
There are places that you can get them, but they are unbelievably expensive, like several $1,000s. There is another form of radionics. It's really what we would be looking more into would be psionics, which is basically the combination of radionics and intentional energies, psychic abilities, stuff like that. Which is where I'm fascinated with, and I'm sure that's where a lot of
Exactly.
people actually, right?
Yeah. No, we excuse me. You know what? We start thinking about this type of alternative medicine and alternative energy sources and different things of that nature. And off air we had talked a little bit about why they're not widespread. But it's funny because I remember saying we were talking about red light therapy,
Mhm.
IR therapy, and nobody had ever heard about it until a trainer said to me about it, was talking about it and how it rebuilds everything and how it works. Until I bought one, and it's just a cheap one. I bought one, and it was amazing. Then a friend of mine who's a Vietnam vet, he goes to me, he goes, "Oh," he says, "you have one of those?" He says, "The VA is willing to pay for these now because they see that now they're seeing stuff that's actually helping."
Mhm.
It's the same thing, Austin. It's the same thing about with like magnets. I don't know if you remember because you're a couple decades younger than me, but back in the day, magnets, they would go and put magnets on each side of a cast near the point of a surgery or a break, and the bone would heal quicker.
Mhm.
So this is
I don't
all
know.
stuff. Yeah, this is all stuff that is we think about it as science fiction, you know, but yesterday's science fiction is today's fact. Let's face it, Star Trek communicators,
Yep.
and
Oh,
and
the watches, right? The watches are the big one with the
yep,
video call on the watch. Yeah.
yep. Let's face it. I mean, that's the way it works, and I think the problem is that we're living in a society that uh they will go and will not go and allow more of a free reign. They like to keep everything tight. And we're not going to get, listen, we're not going to get into politics today. We're not going to get into the money today. We did that already. We've done it already. But when we talk about this, what we've had, I was taught so many years ago that we were all vibration,
Mhm.
we're energy, we're frequency. It only makes sense that by changing that, by alternating or fine tuning our own essence, our own vibration, that we can go and we can heal ourselves without having to go and sometimes without surgeries or and I'm getting and I was fascinated by that whole thing. Now, what was it? Tesla? I think it was
Yeah, energy, frequency, and vibration is
right. Einstein. Again,
Mhm.
these are heavy hitters, and these people will go. Ron, hey Ron, how are you? Ron is here,
on.
and he says acupuncture was
Yep.
also looked down upon years ago, and it's so
Yep.
true.
I
It's
think
so true.
it was when was it when Reagan went over to China? I think was it Reagan or I think it was
Yeah.
Reagan, right? But
Oh,
he came
Nixon
back,
actually.
or was it Nixon?
Nixon
Nixon, that's who
actually.
it was. Yeah.
Nixon went there, and yeah, he opened
And
up
then when he
China.
came back, he like saw what acupuncture, like he actually saw it over there, came back, and now it's. But I think one of the things that somebody said was the only difference between science and pseudoscience is time. I did want to I remember that quote just now.
I love that quote because I look back as a spiritualist historian.
Mhm.
I go back and I think to I look at what was taught and the philosophies that were going on back in the late 1800s.
Mhm.
And this was before Wi-Fi. This is before telegraphs, wireless telegraphs. This is all before, and yet today we think of this as commonplace. But back then it was all voodoo. It's just like radionics. Radionics right now I think is in a state of stasis because they think it's that they're treating it as too alternative. And that's a shame. That's a shame.
Well,
Kenneth wrote doctors in China do residency in internal medicine and another 4 years in traditional Chinese medicine.
mhm.
I'm a firm believer.
Everything I need in medicine. Yep.
That's what we need. That's what we need.
You
Now,
know,
go ahead.
I oh shoot, I was gonna say something. I forgot what I was gonna say.
That's all right.
I had an idea.
Listen. You're catching up to my age. That's the way it works.
Okay. I got it. So one of the things that that we have figured out in our modern age with technology, we start learning more about quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and one of the big things that we have learned in quantum mechanics is like you said, everything is vibrational. Everything resonates at a specific frequency. And
Correct.
so they often talk about if you could find a way to match, if you take your hand's frequency and match it to the table, you could pass your hand right through the
Right
table
through the
with
table.
no. So when you're talking about finding a way to change the resonant frequency of any specific thing, whether that's a body part, whether that's, your environment, whether that's whatever, like they also talk about, how that your thoughts, your intentions can actually change the physical world around you. And so these radionics machines that, especially now, they call them like manifesting machines or wishing machines based on the book, I think. But that's just more or less an amplifier for what you would just be telling yourself daily and trying, you know what I mean? So,
Do you think that more modern machines now, as
mm,
amplifiers, do you think that they actually do amplify our own energy, the energy that, because the way that I work as a medium and a psychic and all that is focused intent. It's always focused. That means that energy is focused. It's uh, the SEALs are trained in laser point focus.
yep.
And do you think that the modern machines now that are available, do you feel that helps the energy to be that focused or stronger, or do you think that perhaps even like within ourselves, do you think that we're acting as that lightning rod that is going and really pushing it out there and working through the machine?
I wonder about that, almost like the placebo effect. Like if
Yes.
like the
Yes.
machine is not necessarily amplifying it, it's your belief in the machine amplifying it or whatever. Um, I don't know. See, the hard part about these machines is that it's using orgone energy. It's like talking about orgone energy, and a
Mhm.
lot of times the carrier wave is a Schumann wave generator, just which
Yes.
is the Earth's resonant frequency. Um, and it's so theoretical when it comes to this stuff. It's so hard to tell if it's going to help. I mean, I don't necessarily know if I have a real understanding of orgone energy. Like I kind of do, but it is one of those. It's like a life force or something. Is my kind
Perfect.
of understanding.
Perfect.
But I don't know how do we measure that? How do we like, and that's the hard part really, is like how do we measure orgone energy, and also how do we know that these devices that we have are actually producing what they call orgone? I mean, we're looking at these machines that some of them are just like a symbol on a piece of paper with a
Yes.
piece of copper going through a crystal and a
I was just I
potentiometer.
was just going to bring that up. I was
Yeah.
just going to bring that up because I have seen that's what the dowsers were using,
Hmm.
and they would go and engrave a symbol in,
Hmm.
let's say, a piece of copper, And from there, they would go and use Himalayan or Tibetan quartz or
Mhm.
some kind of other quartz source, and it was almost like it charged it. And they would take it
Mhm.
into a room and it would charge it. And if somebody was sick, they sent it home with them and let them sit there with it, close to where they were sitting or where they were sleeping, in
Mhm.
order to go and supercharge and awaken a latent part of your immunity. To
Yeah.
me, that was fascinating. As a matter of fact, wasn't it? I feel I'm just remembering things
Middle
when
point.
we were
Yep.
when we were filming. You went. I remember you go take a yeah feel this, and I remember and I had the camera on my shoulder, and I took it in my left hand. I went, holy crap! And that's when you started talking about, well, this is ABC, and you talked a little bit about radionics, and then we had to go and film, so we never
Yeah.
finished that conversation. But I will always remember that.
Man, that was what, 2019, maybe?
2018, 2019, something like that.
Yeah, man. I
That
remember that. I still have that thing too.
do you
I
really?
still have that. It's out there. I actually attached it to a box that KD built. Like I put it on there as almost like an experimental side of it. Like I'm trying to like this. It's called the ITC station that he built, and I've like added a whole bunch of other stuff to it to try to, you know what I mean. And so I figure, well, why not? Just, you know.
Let me ask you this.
Yep.
Do you think that because everything is energy and everything is frequency,
Mhm.
do you think that the presence of ley lines in certain areas can add in to radionics, or I know that it has a definite effect on dowsing. Do you think that these ley lines, these energy lines, uh, can actually help or hinder when we're starting to work with radionics and we're starting to work with energy?
I guess it would depend on the application of the radionics. You know what I mean? Because, like, so there is an application of radionics. They actually do actively use radionics in crop fields, like to this day.
Oh,
And
do they
actually,
really?
it is a huge business, actually. And what they do is that they will take samples of dirt and soil and the plants and like, and actually, they have studies. And I think one of the videos I sent you earlier today showed this. It would actually show like the
Yes.
differences in crop growth and plant growth, and you could see that the ones that were treated with the radionics actually grew like way bigger. And all that is just treating it with soil that was changed, the resonant frequency was changed to match what was best for the plant, and the
Hmm.
plant grew like 3 times as big, 3 times as fast. Like it was crazy. And
So,
so I know that it has, in that sense, I don't know if the ley lines would make any difference or not. You know what I'm saying? I almost
hmm,
wonder because I don't know that ley lines are necessarily considered a geological aspect. It's so hard because it is more of a spiritual thing because it's not really a physical line in that
right,
sense, but it's
right, right.
also, but it is part of this energy field, these subtle energy fields. So I think like in spiritual applications, like if we're trying to manifest or if we're trying to do stuff like that, then yeah, I think it could for sure.
Now, something that I've often thought about is, can we take now? I talked about a little bit about what we did with the dowsers, but can
Mhm.
we take ordinary objects and use radionics to go and charge these objects? Like I know uh, a lot of Reiki master teachers will charge bracelets. They will charge, like I charge like copper bracelets for myself. And do you think that this would improve it? And how would you go about trying to charge a a something an object?
You know, I I mean, if we're being honest, I question the people that do that, and not because of I guess just because of the way that my understanding of radionics isn't just like you have to be able to recognize what the frequency pattern of the object that you're trying to supercharge is first,
Right.
and then supercharge it. So he would not only have to have this chamber and this transmission or the broadcast device, but you would also have to be able to read what the resonant frequency is. So you would actually have to have the measurement system and everything. And so if they don't have that, then I don't know how much I trust it. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Hmm.
not necessary. That's not trying to be disrespectful or anything to
No,
anybody.
no,
That's
absolutely not.
yeah, that's just kind of my opinion.
Because now I've seen certain things for sale, bracelets and that sort of thing, where they say that it is that they have gone and used it on a one of the, I don't forget what they called it, a platform or something.
Yeah.
And I had thought about that. I'm thinking to myself, now is this a lot like charging it with energy, like our natural human energy, or frequency? But this makes sense because I believe in radionics. You have to really be able to go and fine tune everything. It's like trying, the best way I can describe it is like trying to find that one radio station, that one shortwave radio that is, hundreds of miles away, and just work on it and just try to fine tune that in order to get that strong enough signal so we can have the two-way conversation.
Yeah.
That's got to be as close. Is there ongoing experimentation with radionics right now? We talked about how before off the air how it they don't really they don't I'll just say they don't encourage it. That's
Suppress it.
that's a good way of saying it. Encourage, they don't encourage it. But I
Yeah.
mean, I know a chiropractor right now that
Mhm.
uses it,
Mhm.
that believes in it, and I know that he actually has a machine there in his office that he
Okay.
has used for many years.
Mhm.
So, uh, do you think that is that, or let me ask you this: do you think it's overt research, or is everything underground? A lot of it underground right now.
I think that there's a lot of research still happening, especially over at Stanford University. They're
Mhm.
definitely still doing a lot of research
Right.
over there. I mean, I believe they're still doing research. I mean, it was started out in California. I mean, I would assume that they're still doing research out in California with it. The website, I sent you a website earlier, for the Dr. Tilly article or
Yes.
some,
Yes. Yeah.
that,
Excellent
that
article.
that company, like if you scroll through that website, that company is one of the more active research centers on radionics. And so they look through all of the different applications of radionics, from agricultural to healing to spiritual. Like they cover all of it. And they show all, I don't know if they sell devices or not. I know
Right.
that there are some people that do, that actually sell real devices, not just the orgon energy generator things. I look at those ones you find on Etsy a lot,
Hmm.
like the Divic boxes you find on eBay. They're just kind of, somebody just put it out there. Oh, it's a Divic box. I did this to it. Put some creepy items in it, seal it with wax, sell it for $50, right? I don't know.
but
But I
but
think it's a lot of that.
I think when we start looking, because I would be interested again. I know where, if I was not, if I was not ethical, I would be visiting the Buckland Museum, trying to figure out how I can get something out of there. But
Right.
oh, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's just a cabinet full of
Oh,
gear, and I was just like standing there, just like, oh my god, this is all stuff. Now it's funny when you started talking about like on eBay and stuff. I remember, and I'm 68, so I remember all this craziness. I remember back in the 70s when you could buy radiotic machines and boxes,
mhm.
and I remember seeing them on the inside of, like, was it Fate magazine or one of those like magazines,
Yeah.
and I remember sitting there going, "This would be fascinating to find." And I'm going, and I think it was like at the steep price of like $15 or $25, and at that time, that was probably your your groceries for a week or two, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah, for a
I
long time, they were just like a lot of them. People just had these little black boxes that they would use for healing.
right.
Okay, one could argue that orgone energy, which has historically been linked to chi or pranas, and okay, yeah. So yep,
Yep.
universal consciousness, yep. Crazy. Yeah, see, Ron, I love Ron because he's just so damn
I do
smart. He
too.
knows everything about everything,
He's
and
coming back. I'm going to get him back on the show.
he's
There's no.
so he's just so educated on all of this stuff, and even like especially when it comes to how it all ties together, and it always comes back to universal consciousness. It always
Yes.
does for me, and he always has a way to educationally, or how's the best way to say it, like articulate it in a very scientifically literate manner, I guess.
Well, no, it was
He's-
great because I mean, we were when he was on the show last, I was just like I just sat there and went, just let sometimes they always say, let knowledge and art just flow over you. And that's what you need to do. And then go back and listen to the show again. And he's wonderful. He's absolutely wonderful.
Oh yeah, but
But
he's right though. I mean, I guess I do agree. I do understand that. Yeah, orgone energy is like life energy,
yeah,
chi or chakras,
right.
possibly even. But oh, shoot, I forgot what I was saying right before.
That's
That's all I
that's all
got.
right. No, now what I thought was fascinating, and this is the chiropractor that I
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
He practices absentee healing. And again, anybody that's done quantum
Yeah.
healing and Reiki or hands-on or spiritual healing of any type,
Living at
there's
a
always
distance.
just any kind of distance healing. It's amazing because what he does is I remember him taking a photograph of the person. Like back then, of course, it was a no, I shouldn't say back then because he's still alive, but he would take a photograph, a Polaroid of the person, and he would go and place it on the little plate. I remember there's a little silver plate.
Yep.
And I remember him going and like sending this healing out. So is this something that is, for people that use radionics for healing, is this something that they normally do? Or do you think that it's something that where they really do need that specimen, that drop of blood or the root of, well, if you have hair, the root of your hair follicle?
Right. Um, I think that anybody that takes it seriously would probably want the biological material
Mhm.
of, I know that there are some people that can do that claim to be able to do it with the photograph. I've seen doctors that show that they can do it with the photograph.
Right.
I'm still trying to figure that one out. Because it's, I mean, I guess maybe I feel like that's a little bit more of a stretch than it already is. It's like, at least with the biological material, you can actually attempt to tune into what the frequency of that individual is.
Agreed. Yes.
The photograph is like, I mean, you're just guessing. I feel like at that point, I mean,
Well,
maybe I couldn't count on it to be accurate, I guess is the
right.
best way to.
Okay, let's switch gears because we were talking about the benefits.
Mhm.
Do you feel that there is something that could be negative? Because and I was thinking about this again, when I was sitting there writing my 12 semi-intelligent Austin Maynard questions for the interview today. I was thinking about this where, I wonder if it's like words. The way I always say about words can heal, but words can also kill.
Mhm.
And it's on so many different levels. Do you think that the use of radionics could be perverted into something negative? Let's say, you know, it could be let shot into a building and affect the vibration and frequency of the girders that's holding up the structure, so that something would collapse, or use it in a military destructive way. Do you think that that's possible? Again, this is something that was like really abstract, and the more I started thinking and writing these questions, the more I kept thinking about, oh my God, do you think?
That's a good question. And actually, I mean, in a sense, they do. The military definitely uses vibrational weapons.
Right.
I mean, they talk about Havana syndrome, and they've actually directed energy weapons are really a big. I mean, that you could say that's radionics on a large scale.
Yes. Yes.
But as far as negative effects on people with like I mean, I don't know how it could be used outside of like military purposes. I don't know how it could be used in a destructive manner. I think the biggest negative from it would be if people buy into it so much that they ignore that they need genuine medical treatment. Like, just if you are getting a cancer diagnosis
Right.
from the radionics machine or from the radionics test, then you would think that you would hope that that person would not trust the radionics machine to cure your cancer. Like, you
Right.
would hope that they would go, but I think that some people, especially nowadays, will get so obsessed with the idea that I mean, they just want to try anything and everything, right? And they don't want to believe that modern medicine in a lot of cases is the answer. But and that's what I think the biggest danger would be.
This is I know at our Roswell Cancer Institute here in Buffalo, New York, which is a very large cancer institute, they're starting to work with more alternative medicine, which
So
is, I
actually,
mean,
I sent you a video earlier. Did you watch it with
yes,
the
yes, I did. Yes, I did. Which is why I brought this up. And it's so funny because I think to myself, now they're allowing Reiki practitioners to come in.
Mhm.
I thought to myself, I'm thinking back 10 years, 15 years ago. That would have been unheard of. Everything would have been, you know, radiation, chemo. Now they're working with all these alternative medicines and modalities. Do you think that we're ever going to see a day when radionics is going to be able to go and be used in that manner?
Mhm. Yeah, I think at a certain point it will replace a lot of medicine. I think that there's just not a lot of research being done with it. But I mean, I think there's a lot of research being done. I just think that the American Medical Association, the
Right.
WHO, the CDC, all these organizations are not going to let that happen and come in and interrupt what they're doing. And that's even chiropractors. Chiropractors were kind of like the last
Voodoo.
ones to get in there, right?
Yeah, voodoo.
And so even now, like, they don't consider a lot of people don't even consider chiropractors real doctors. And so you are already on that fringe, and I can see, but I believe that if more research is done into finding ways to um, genuinely figure out the resonant frequencies of these of certain things, and they are able to find like the resonant frequency of certain diseases, like what
Yes.
a resonant frequency, I think it's 50 I can't remember what the actual term that they were using, but I think it's hertz. I don't know if it was hertz that he was
I
using,
think
but it was something
I
like
think
it
it
was
was
50
Hertz.
hertz.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he said that if they can find a way to match that frequency, combat it, and just I mean, I think frequencies will eventually be the answer. I think that frequencies have always been the answer with regards to, I mean, some people even theorize that the ancient Egyptians somehow used levitation with sound frequencies in
Mhm.
order to build the pyramids. I think that we have lost the ability to tap into frequencies the way that we really need to be. I think
Mhm.
that if we're able to do that, then I mean, there's no limit to what we could do with modern medicine, especially like we could completely get rid of a whole lot of medications. Big pharma could almost go away because we could just target specific things, fix, just right there, get it done and over.
Because now, from what I've researched, I was amazed to think that if you can match the proper frequency,
Mhm.
the frequency will attack, let's say, the cells, let's say the damaged cells or
That
whatever,
video, man, that
and not
video.
and not
Shit.
and not destroy anything else around it, because we know in radiation that focused radiation, the X-ray is brutal. I mean, it burns everything. Or even in chemo just,
Oh
I mean,
man.
it
Yeah.
it it can really go and do a number on your entire body. So you have to,
Mhm.
so I pray that we're going to go and get to that point where we're going to be able to use this for the ultimate good. Now, I got to ask you, okay, we're just talking about X-ray and radiation and stuff. How safe is it to use these devices? Because now, we're having worked in a hospital, man. You know, the X-ray techs, man, they're just like lead lined, but hiding behind lead lined walls, and I mean, how many times have I been laying on that table, thinking to myself, how much of this am I absorbing into my body? And so,
Yeah.
how safe are they?
Radionics machines are surprisingly safe. Man, and that's what the biggest issue with these organizations is that there are no. It is surprisingly safe because all it's doing is changing the vibrational pattern of
Right.
these objects of this thing and being able to find what vibration it needs to be set at in order to fix the problem. And that's how radionics works. And just like I wish you could show this video, man. Damn, it's such a good video because it actually shows on a microscopic scale
Yep.
that there are certain cells that are being just disintegrated slowly, but other cells, living cells, are swimming all around it, not getting affected at all.
I have it. Maybe if I get a chance tonight or tomorrow, I'm gonna go and I'll put it up there for everybody to be able to see it from my site
Yeah.
because I was amazed. I sat down. I watched it. Actually, I watched it twice
Mhm.
to take while I was taking some notes from it, and I thought that this is something that is just, again, science fiction, but science fiction is reality, and
Over time.
people, yeah, people don't realize that. People just don't realize that. And just as a silly little note, I remember my father saying to me, there's going to come a time where we're going to be able to take movies and put them in a machine and watch them on TV. And I was a little kid. This is probably the 60s. And I remember thinking to myself, no, that's never going to work. No, it'd be cool, but never work. VHS, beta, and all that, and the DVDs, and now look what we have, everything else streaming. So you can never say no to any of it. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
When we start talking about quantum resonance, that's something that I personally didn't quite understand. So could you kind of like clear that up for me?
Well, I mean, quantum resonance and I mean, you could just say resonance because resonance is mainly at the quantum level.
Right,
It's basically just the vibrational patterns of the
right,
particles, the atoms that make up your body. So, and I mean, you could go down the string theory path and say that everything is just, rubber bands vibrating in a specific pattern instead of atoms. But,
right.
either way, it's basically just what your specific body resonates at on a particle level.
Here's a
And yours
here's
is different than mine. Mine's different than everybody
right.
else's. It's yeah.
I just eat more chili than you. That's all. That's the only difference, Austin. That's the only difference. Let me ask you this. When we start working with, we can bring this into the paranormal field.
Mhm.
Most of the time we've been talking a lot because I'm fascinated by the use of it in healing.
Mhm.
But in the paranormal field, how do you think we can go and we could improve what we do as paranormal investigators by using radionics?
So, like we were talking before the show, like I tried to do it at first. I was a little uneducated at the time, but in season 4, Deathwalker, we went to return to Western Block. We did an experiment. Tessa and I were in a room, and we were trying to get that entity that Nick captured in season 2 with the arm
Right.
pulling
The arm
back.
that came out. Yes.
Yeah, we were trying to get that to show itself again or manifest itself again. And so what we did was we took a picture of the arm, like we took a screenshot from the video, printed it out onto a little picture, and put it onto the into the witness plate. And
Right.
then she had a crystal that she was very fond of that she brought and put it into the amplifier plate. And honestly, again, I really wish that I was a little more educated on the subject at the time. But I think that there's ways that we may be able to change the environment of an area. Like, I wonder, I've always been fascinated with the idea of us being able to change the resonation of a building, or just if an environment seems kind of dead or not, or really light or something.
Right.
Can you make it heavy somehow? Can you change it to where it's a lot more static in the air, like by sending out that intentional energy somehow?
Yes.
Like, I've thought about a lot of that, and I want to explore that more. It's so expensive, though. I
Oh
wish
no,
I could, man.
that's the problem. I think that's the problem with anything that we work with that may
Mhm.
have high potential. The problem is that it becomes so cost prohibitive for and I'm not going to say armchair because I'm an armchair guy, but somebody that like yourself to go out there and buy one piece of equipment is thousands of dollars. Day and age, there's just no way that we can afford that.
I
Now,
mean,
let me ask
luckily, the one that we used with Deathwalker was actually only like a few $100.
that's
But
wow.
yeah,
Oh,
and I
you
think
got you
Tessa
got to
still
know.
has it. We gotta get that. We gotta get that from Tessa and see if she'll let us borrow it. Because I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that her and Nick still have it.
Well, Parachik from Western Bloc,
Heather?
that's Heather. We're gonna go and shit, Austin. We invite you back anytime to
Oh
experiment.
yeah. Do they still
Uh,
have the subwoofers?
oh yeah,
Oh
and
man.
dude, that if anybody ever goes to Western Bloc, you may not know it, but they have subwoofers going on, and I'm going to tell you what, that infrasound stirs a lot of stuff up. It is like amazing. But that's why I like going to Western Bloc, because we get a chance to go and experiment with different things. And because a lot of places are like, oh no, that's no, I don't want that. I don't want to do this. We'll just stick with the little, flashy lights and stuff. Western Bloc will turn around and say, listen, we're going to try this. Let's see where this takes us. And it's a definite difference
And you know
between
what's
the
crazy too is that I like when we were talking, I didn't even know that Heather and Frank were like really wanting to experiment with infrasound.
Mhm.
Before, when I came to the Western Bloc with that subwoofer, I had already planned in my head we're gonna do an infrasound experiment. I had no idea that Heather and Frank were like, dude, we gotta do infrasound. So it was like this crazy synchronicity in a
Yeah.
way. It's like, okay, it was meant to be that I was meant to build that thing and bring it to the Western Bloc, and they were meant to keep it there and do like it's a crazy synchronicity to me. I don't know.
I'll tell you the truth. I can tell the difference in my equipment when we use it and we don't use it. And that's an
Yeah.
amazing thing. And I think that's why and and Frank, Heather, I'm giving you guys homework. Get a hold of Nick and Tessa and see if we can get that box, because I would love to just work with it a little bit. And if Austin can't be here, we'll be putting him on Zoom, and he's going to walk us through some experiments. Aren't you, Austin?
I'd be happy to do that. Yeah, see, tell Tessa it's the green device with the two copper discs on it that lights up.
It's fantastic.
I get that.
Now I'm really excited. I'm just going to tell you, because now I know there's one in our proximity. So
There is one in our proximity. That one, it's a very basic and rudimentary one, and really, it's just the broadcaster. So it's
right,
not. It wouldn't be used for healing. It would be used for broadcasting and intent and all that.
exactly.
But yeah, I mean, if you can get it back from her, definitely play around with it.
That would be amazing to do that. That'd be amazing to do that.
Oh
What do
yeah,
you
man.
here's here's Frank. Absolutely, we absolutely will. So guys, if you're in Western New York, just going to let you guys know there'll be some experiments at the Western Block in
That's the
Lockport, New
place.
York, guys. There's going
That's
to
the
be
place to be for
there's
sure.
there's going to if you see me coming out and I have hair, you know that we've been experimenting a little bit too long. And I'm de-evolutionizing myself back. But Austin, let me just ask you, let me just ask you this. Do you feel that the future in the paranormal field? No, let me just wipe that off. Do you think that mediums and psychics are naturally tuned to something like radionics? Do you think that our vibrational flow may be almost like a broadcaster, or something like for a healing thing? I was thinking about that because I mean, I might be a spiritualist, but I don't believe half the crap that three-quarters of the crap that they taught me. I believe everything is energy, everything is frequency. I believe personalities go on except in a vibrational form. So do you think that some people are more akin to this, and it's almost as if they're living radionic devices?
Well, I think that all of us, in a sense, are our own. I mean, it would be more of I guess that's a psionics device. I keep forgetting about that.
Yes, psionics. Yes.
The psionics devices, I feel like, are more or less just amplifiers for that energy. Because I mean, they have talked about it time and time again. Quantum physicists talk about this time and time again, and theorists also, like, they talk about how you can actually change your physical reality with your thoughts. And one of a pretty good example of this is, if you have a bad negative mindset, then your life is just going to be negative.
Correct.
But you create more problems by thinking about the problems that you have. But not thinking, thinking about the good things will bring more good into your life. It is a true, like, they have been able to show this time and time again. Maybe not on the medicinal or the scientific level, but anybody can try this. It definitely works. And so I think that if we are able to do that, then these machines are potentially amplifiers. Again, I don't know, I don't know how to measure the energy that we are emanating with our thoughts, with our, all of that. Until we can really figure out how to measure that, I think we're not really going to be able to. It's all experimental until then, and we don't really know what kind of effect it's having on the environment, especially when it comes to the paranormal field. Like, we just don't have enough. We know that. So, like, the infrasound, right? When you play the infrasound, you can feel that effect, even though you probably couldn't measure it. You can feel that effect.
Right.
You can feel the change in the environment.
Right.
And so, I think a lot of it is just, we got to figure out how to be able to find a way to change our environment using the psionics machines. And if that's something that's always been my focus, or my curiosity and my interest has been in trying to find a way to manipulate our physical environment using radionics. And actually, a lot of the experiments that JW and I do involve intentional energy and all this stuff. Like, we incorporate all of that in. And I'm hoping someday, we'll be able to figure out a way. Man, I love the idea. I'm so fascinated by the topic, but it's just, there's so much that we don't know about it, and we need to just keep doing. There's not enough research being done, even though there's a lot. We just need to open it up more, because actually the UK and most other parts of the world, radionics is accepted as a normal practice.
Exactly. Of course, we are slow to accept here in the change is tough in the United States. And there's so many different ways. There's so many different reasons for it. Which, again, we're not getting into the political. We're not getting into the money. We're not gonna go down those rabbit holes, even though that we want to. But Austin, we're almost out of time. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. because I'm going to tell you what, you're one of the most fascinating people that I've ever met. And again, guys, his equipment is amazing. Look at this. Look at this. This is beautiful. This is not a functional piece of paranormal gear. This to me is art. This is a masterpiece. I love this. And the other one that I was so fascinated by was one of your devices. It was a box, and I think Wraith Chasers were using it, where you became the aerial. They held on to it, and then they would go and it would scan, and you would hold on to it. That's it. That's it right there.
The direct link, yeah.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Yep.
That's an amazing thing. So tell everybody how they can go and they can check. First of all, check out all your cool stuff. And then like be able to go and just like hang out, and listen to The World According to Austin Maynard, which I absolutely my head right now, I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight. I'm just gonna tell you that because I'll be thinking about this stuff.
Got the wheels turning, man. That's how it is. I mean, you can find me on Facebook. I don't really have any kind of special website for me. I facebook.com/austin.maynard.10, I think it is. On Instagram, I am instagram.com/the_UGPN. That is where I post all the devices and stuff that I build. And then idcinstitute.net or idc-institute.net. idcdevices.com is where you can get direct links and all that kind of stuff too. Yeah. That's perfect. That's fine.
Perfect. Austin, thank you for taking your time today, and jumping on the show and just like enlightening and opening up the minds of so many more people now and introducing them to something that is just fascinating. And yet, if you break it down to its common denominators, energy and frequency, boom. And when you start looking at it in those terms, all of a sudden, it's not just that things get simpler. It's just the fact that it starts making more sense. And to me, I always thought that was something that is fascinating. We take all the gobbledygook out of it, and we just look at it, and we just decide, and we work on it.
Awesome. There's a lot of data, man. There's a lot of data to support that it works, man. So I don't, we can't ignore it.
Amazing, just amazing. Stay on the line, Maynard. I want to be able to go and talk to you. Thank you properly off the air, and just say, wow, it was amazing. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I have just only a few favorite guests, and you're in the top 5, kid. You and Ron are in the top 5.
Well, it's hard to compete with Ron, man. It is hard. It is hard to compete with him.
Yeah,
but I'm honored. I'm honored, man.
You do a good job, brother. You do a good job. Stay on the line for a couple seconds, brother. Stay on the line. Okay, guys, was it phenomenal? Was this a phenomenal show? I love talking to Austin. I absolutely love talking to Austin because of the fact that every time I talk to him, I learn something more. I get more of a charge. And this is what we need. We need to be able to keep going and get energized. We need ourselves to get energized. We have to be able to go and push the box. Too many people are out there. They will go push the box a little bit to open the little lid up, and that's it. That's as far as they go. They won't do anything more than that. And they just keep repeating the same thing. Maybe they'll change the box coloring or they'll rewrap the box, but it's always the same. And we've got to be thinking outside the box. And Austin Maynard is one of those people that definitely thinks outside the box. And again, that spirit box he built, it's like I'm telling you, that's like one of my prized possessions. I don't know. I don't even want to take it out of my house, but I know I have to. So anyway, guys, this is Tim Shaw. Thank you guys for spending your Tuesday with me. And as always, thanks for hanging out where the elite meet next to the dumpster transfer station, guys. Take care. See you next week. Ciao, babies. Bye-bye.